on page 173. We're going to read the Kitzur before we get to the second ois. Yesterday we learned about this idea of oisios associated with the word osa. Osa boiker, the coming of morning. So meaning that boiker, that osa, which is like the root word of osios, is associated with light, illumination, boiker. Let's learn inside. Ois higilui osa boiker. Ois is revelation, the coming of morning. Hagiluyim de koiches levushi nefesh, the manifestations of the soul powers and the clothing of the soul, the instruments of the soul called levushim. Those are the osios. Those are the ways in which the soul manifests itself, shows itself. And B'yosis Aksav Gimel Dargis. And the Rebbe said, look at the writing of letters. You have three types of letters: Gedolos, large; Beininus, intermediate; Uviktanos, and small, miniature. Keinu Begam Bekoil, says the Rebbe. So we also have in sound. You have a very loud sound, a medium sound, and a low sound. Usfilos Nichalias Bekoil Godel. We learned that he brought the verses that tefillah should be with a loud voice. And he said, Be'umka deliba, that's only justified because he brought the contradictions and from the Gemaras and everything else. And he ended up saying, reconciling that when is koil godel acceptable and necessary, when it's coming from umka deliba, the depth of the heart. Sha'oz, he is galus nekudis, he is kashrus, because only then does the cry come from the quintessential connection, nekudas ha'iskashrus, the nekudah from connecting, and the impact is such that it also has the ability to affect others to do tshuva, as we discussed yesterday. Let's continue to Perek Beis. Tam b'sibas hadavar mashal yedei hatzaka bekoil godel moirim espridis plibis v'atzmos eirisav baruch hu. The reason why the shouting of a loud voice, the screaming of a loud voice coming from the very essence, arouses and works seemingly this idea is not understood, is complicated. Why? From God's perspective, Hillel, everyone's the same. For Eza Hefdel, and what difference is there in Mispalel Balachash, if you daven silently, or Bekoil? The good old joke is that when you go into the Stullerners and they scream, they say, well, God doesn't hear you if you daven quietly. You mean you're heard better if you scream? And he said,
God can apparently listen to more than one thing at a time,
right? As
opposed to us,
right? Well, but that's the question. The question is why is Chazal? This isn't just. It's not about community. Why is Chazal? Why is Tanakh emphasizing Koil Godel as though God doesn't hear silent? Lachash. That's the question. U'Maayan Yisrin the Koil Godel. What is the benefit of a loud voice? He sums up Moshe the question very nicely. The primary thing is davening. What's the difference if it's loud or lower or medium? Like the decibel rate of the voice makes a difference to Hashem? That's his question. Inyanu, says the Rashab, the idea is the hianisenis. This itself, the question itself is the answer. This is an expression. He hanosenis chevra is an expression. It means it, he, hanosenis, which literally comes from the word no saying. It gives. It gives the answer. It itself, the question itself, is your answer. Okay? Since the primary aspect, as you asked me in the question, is davening, you're correct. The Rashab says, and prayer, its objective is unity and connectedness. Meaning, through davening, through prayer, there is the binding of the soul, of the neshama, to godliness. This very reason, it requires that there be tfilosa b'koil gadol, davening loud, the zem moida al hisoidus levovai biskasus Hashem be'emes. That shows that you're really connecting to the point where your heart is pouring itself out, that it comes out in a way that you're talking. So that's his answer. Your question, your position, that tefillah is the main thing. He says, that's right, tefillah is the main thing. And how do you know if your tefillah is really connecting? Through koil gadol. Because the koil gadol is coming from deliba. Right? Remember, if it's not coming from the deliba, it's bluff. Or it's pretend, or it's wannabe. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a koil gadol coming because it hurts deeply, or I'm happy deeply. Oh, so it expresses itself with jubilation, with elation, with feeling, with loudness, etc. Let's go further. The emes hu mashe mitchilose vatzayfu hu bekav echad yasher. The Rashab adds a very interesting line here, Chevra. He says, emes. He says, right, you want to daven to Hashem, and you want to connect to Hashem, be'emes, true, in truth, with truth. How do I know it's true? He says, truth is from the aleph to the tuf, it's all the same. You're not partially truth in the morning, in the afternoon you take a break, and in the evening you think about it to go back to it. That's not being true, that's just being average and, whatever. Truth is that it impacts you so much that whenever you daven kedeliba. Whenever you stand up to daven, you're on fire. Like I told you, Reb Nissen Neman of the famous Mashpia, Chabad Mashpia, he's davening a regular Wednesday night Amida in 770. Reb Yoel Khan is standing next to him, and he sees a man who's in tears as he's davening Shemon Esrei. Like, what are you crying about? Like, and no one was sick at the time, and he was talking to Hashem, and it motivated him deep feelings. So it can be a regular Wednesday night, it can be in Bryn Mawr, France, it can be in Eretz Yisrael, it can be in Crown Heights, it makes no difference. All that is semantics. It's the heart, the tefillah. It says the Rebbe Rashab, since you're talking about emes, and emes is mitchilosei vatseifei, avi, from the very beginning till the end, hu bekav echad yashar. It's one straight line. No ups and downs and bumps. Okay, that's a hard accomplishment. But that's what emes is. Let's continue. Dehine kol his galus hu rak chelik yedur mashe shebepnimnusei hanelam. The Rashab now starts analyzing this idea, like in his good analytical Rambam style, like I told you about. He does a job on us over here too. And he says, anytime you talk about a chelik, a part, Yodua, he says it's known, mimashe b'pninusi hanelam. I'm sorry. Anytime you're talking about hizgalus, a manifestation, it's only chelik Yodua. It's only part of what there is in the entire thing. You're not getting the whole thing, you're only getting a part. What's being revealed is only a part. Look further. And the idea of truth is that the entire inner hidden pnimius is revealed in its essence. So that's the difference between what we call an emes experience and a hisgalus experience. In other words, Moshe, hisgalus is revelation. His galus is illumination, right? And it's very, very beautiful. It's isios. But you're not getting you're not getting the real McCoy. The real McCoy is an emes. And when emes is here, everything is here. When giluyim are here, only part is here. That's what he says. Look further. And he says, so the idea of emes is that the inner, the pnimius that was nelam, was concealed in the mode of emes, it reveals itself in its entire essence, as it is in its very essence. The essence is revealed. Not the manifestation is revealed. The essence is revealed. This is what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. What you see is what you get. And since this revelation comes with a hisrakshut, an emotionalism, omet that's very deep, right? Because it's coming from your essence. That's why it comes out in a koil godel, a loud sound. We find in the Zohar, there's a quote. The Ruach, I say Ruach v'amshich Ruach, famous quote, spirit, evokes spirit, and bestows spirit. Next page, 175. Since this is the mode which expresses one's entire inner essence, therefore it calls forth and it draws down the essence of God. So again, in the wording, the Hillel of the Zohar, Ruach, I say Ruach, v'amshich Ruach, spirit evokes spirit and bestows spirit. So what does that mean? Our spirit, our pnimis haneshama, evokes Hashem's inner aspect, the essence of God, and it bestows spirit that God's essence comes into the person to help them. Right? So that's, I have three things. Ruach, Aise Ruach, Ve'amshich Ruach. But it's three different Ruachs. One is man, one is God, as God is being touched, evoked. And the third Ruach Avi is the way Hashem reciprocates back to the man. And the Rebbe says at 175, V'hainu, second line, the last words, the Liyos did Nishmas Yisro. Since by the very being that the Jewish neshamas, souls, Shosher Mepnimis Hapnimis Dafka, where the Jewish neshamas take themselves from. What is their source and root? It is the essence of God. The Pnimi is in the Mitzad Zeh Yesh B'Koicham. That's why Yidden have the ability legalis oimek pnimis nekudas levavim to reveal their very quintessential essence that's in their heart. Shediyah is galus, that it should be revealed commercial pnimis hanalemas as it is in its inner concealed state. We have the ability to reveal it in a way where all of it becomes revealed, not only part of it. And that is why we Yidden are able to awaken Hashem, and this gives us an answer. How can Hashem help someone who's deathly ill? And we make prayer. The answer is when you touch your Nekudas Emes, and it's coming from Emes, you're touching God's Emes, and from God's Emes, anything's possible. Nature plays no role. If Hashem wants, nature goes out the window, the doctor's reports go out the window, and the person becomes healed. That's what he says. He goes back to what he said earlier. What will the Jew be getting then? He'll be getting the hashpa, the influence of Hashem from the inner aspect of the makif. He repeats the point that he said in the last few Maimorim, but Yidden cannot receive from the external of the makif. Because we Jews are not associated with chitzonius. Take that line and ingrain it in your head, put it up in your office, in your house. We have no relationship with chitzonius. You can fabring all night about that. And just that, those 5 words are all night fabringing. What does it mean that we don't have a shaychus to chitzonius when seemingly we do? But that's what the Rashab says. And he explained earlier, Yonason, that's because a Yid is pnimius. So the truth is, this is not who you are. The way you're behaving is not you. You're out of control. It's a cover-up. It's an adjunct. It's a Yetzer Hara. It's a Nefesh Abamis. Give it any name you want. This is not who you are. Who am I? Oh, you're a neshama. What is that? I thought I'm a goof. No, your goof is just your outer. But who you really are is a neshama. V'daf ke'akum. He continues his thoughts only specifically non-Jews. Goyim. They can receive from the external part of the makiv, if you should call because their primary nourishment is from the backside and the external specifically. Aval Yisrael, but Yidden, Ikram v'Sharsham, their primary connection with Pnimius is Pnimius, Umisham he Mekablim Hashpa'asam, and that's where they get their Hashpa, Ve'ina Mekablim Chitzenis, and they don't get it from Chitzenis. V'lochein, therefore, Kishachoiteim, when Yidden sin, Mekablim Eimshim Begolus, they get their punishment in Golus, Ve'hein Nichnoim, and they're subjugated to the Golus government and mentality. Until they'll do tshuva. They'll scream with a deep inner scream from the depth of the heart. Then they arouse God's abundant mercy from the source of rachamim. I remind you that the term, the wording in the Pidyon Nefesh, the Pan, that we send to the Rebbe before Rosh Hashanah or other times is Ana le'orer. Chevra, you've written Panim. Ana le'orer, I wish to awaken. Rachamim rabim, abundant mercy. Mimkor harachamim, from the source of mercy. Look at the words in the paragraph here from the Rashad. Oz ma'orerim, b'chinas rachamim rabim, mimkor harachamim. The exact same words, almost as the standard words used in the Pidyon Nefesh, because it's the same idea. When we go to a tzaddik, we go to the Rebbe, to another tzaddik, etc., and we ask them to intervene on our behalf, to pray to Hashem, to ask Hashem to give us whatever we need, the first thing we do is we're identifying with Hashem on the Pnimius level. Because if we identify with Hashem on the Chitzonius, we got the wrong address. Because then you're trying to take from the Makif, and you're not going to get from the Makif. The Makif is reserved for the Goyim. They need that. We don't need that. Very, very important. This is a very important point. What are you supposed to be thinking about when you stand at Reb Shimon Bar Yochai's kever, or Reb Shmuel Hanavi, or Avram Avinu, or Rachel Imenu, as we discussed earlier? We're looking for the Rachamim Rabim Mimkor HaRachamim. Essence. Anything less is not who we are. So if you embark on less of who you are, you get pennies for your dollar, if that much. And this is an explanation, albeit not, one that we like talking about, but this is an explanation to why at times we don't get the answer that we want in the way we want. And I would say, based on what we're learning, is because the tefillah is going to the wrong chamber. And the whole tefillah is not connecting, and that's why. What's the first thing you should do when you go to a tzaddik's cave, or to the Kaisel Maravi and everything else? The first thing the Rebbe writes to Reb Zalman Garari, and it's printed in his book Bechol Beisi Nemenhu. He says there that when you go to my father-in-law, he's talking about the previous Rebbe, and you're standing at the oyel. As soon as you have a thought that's other, that's foreign to what you're supposed to be thinking about, get out of there. He doesn't say it in such harsh, coarse words like I'm saying, but I just wanted to make the point. You don't belong there. What do you mean I don't belong there? Every Jew belongs there. Of course, every Jew belongs there. But if you're a real chassid, you really, you think you're big time, And if what enters your mind is Frankfurters, your business, and anything else that's not relevant to the connection, out. It's a disturbing, blocking thought for the energy to go through to you, and you don't belong there. Very powerful. When I read it, it blew me away. And frankly, it's one of the reasons I don't go that often to the Yoel. You have to be prepared. It's not just a Monday and Thursday quarterbacking, you know? Now, you will hear from Chabadniks, rabbis and mashpiyim and teachers otherwise. And I guess they feel otherwise because they look at our situation that we're so far that just go and daven. And, okay, but here we're talking, we're learning. You know, we're not now, you know, being nice guy, we're the best. I used to have a guy say, Rabbi, you're the best. Rabbi, you're the best. I don't need you to tell me I'm the best. Tell me I'm the worst. You know, here when we learn Chassidus, when we learn together, we're getting into each other. You know, I'm saying the Maimer is getting into each other. So that's what the Rashab says. Barachamim rabim mekayar rachamim. Now I want to make it clear: if a person is an Eis Tzara, if a person has, God forbid, a Tzara, believe me, when they go to an Ohel, or to a Rashbi, or to a Kaisel, or they stand at their wall, and that's their Kaisel, and they cry their heart out, whether it's inside or outside, that's Rachamim Rabim. I don't want it to sound like, to accomplish this Rachamim Rabim, Mekayar Rachamim, you have to be some holy roller. No. You have to be emes. And if you're emes, you could accomplish it in a minute, without a pedigree. There's no, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's continue. Let's see how he develops it. For Nimtza, Mashi is Baruch Bilavave Lema. The fact that goes back to the Pasuk in Dvarim, that one says in their heart, Shalom Yeli, I'll have it all good, I'll have peace. Ki b'shridus libi eilech, because I'll go my own merry way and do whatever I want. I'll get hashpah from the makif, from the klipa, just as they get sustenance and nourishment from there, I'll get from that place too. The klippa raises itself to receive from there, just as a Jew here, just as a guy here below, that's his source of nourishment. Again, he repeats, and from there is an abundance of influence without accountability. So does this yid confuse and make this dimyon, this imagination, liyas kamayim? Says the Rashab, and look at this, Chevra, you don't need it any more clear. He says it, sheker gomer. It's a complete lie. End. The coffin, the nail in the coffin. Finished. Sheker gomer. You're fooling yourself, my friend. You are a fool who's trying to fool yourself. You know better, and you want to put the wool over the eye. Sich allein up. In Yiddish, the word for fool, Moshe, is nart. Nart sich allein. He fools himself up. He fools himself. Was rechnet, by thinking, as vet euch mekabel sein, that he will also receive the hashpah, the influence from chitzainis hamakif, from the external aspect of the makif. Says the Rashab, bistanar, you're a fool, and you're fooling yourself. Kili Yisrael yefshel lekabel hashpah ben prilis chitzainis hamakif, for a yid cannot receive the hashpah from there. Only where does the Jew get his hashpah from the pnimius, to say the ishtalshalus of the order of progression. Skip the parentheses. V'sham hashpah he b'chinas dim v'cheshbon. As he said earlier, you're getting from pnimius, you got to give an account. Okay? U'b'meila behechlech sheyufsak. Remember, way back in the Maimer, he said this line. He says it again here. Uvehechlech, it must be that the hashpah will be interrupted. You see, when you're in a free fall, you just go and land, and right? But when you're in an accountable, normal, orderly situation, there's a beginning, and there's an end, and there's a middle, and there are rules, and there are regulations. And as much as, we don't like that sometimes, that's the way Pnimius expresses itself. Now the Rashab goes really down nitty-gritty. He talks about it in very practical terms. So we see b'muchash in actuality. There are many wicked people, but initially they're very successful. And then suddenly their wealth and their success ceases. Because you're a Jew who's acting like a Russia wicked. So because you're a Yid, there's accountability. So you got for a while and then it ends. They succeeded in the beginning. Hey, wait a minute, but I was riding high on the horse in the beginning. The base time, said the Rashab, that's for two reasons. So Aleph, Shazeu, next page, 177. Al Yedei Eza Siya Toiva. Even bad guys do some good things. That's because they once did some good. Of which the Mishnah says, right in the morning we say, you eat the fruit in this world, and the principle is saved to L'olam Haba. So, you got a little brownie point, a little carrot you got here. And that carrot is, your stocks went well 1 or 2 days, you made quite a bit of money, and then it takes a turn and you lost a lot of money. But Habez, the second reason why initially the people who are acting like Rishoyim do benefit in the beginning. We learned earlier in the Maimah 7, the 7th Maimah, chapter 4, the Choz Mashloi Neved Chelik HaToiv Sheloi, as long as one's good part hasn't been destroyed, Harei HaKlippos Yonkos, the Klippos are able to nourish Al Yedei Toisus Chayes through getting an additional vitality min HaKedusha, from Kedusha, V'hu Noitel Chelik B'Roisha now. What's happening here, he says, is that the Klippos, not only do they get normally from the Chitzonis Hamaki, they also get from the back part of the Kedusha. And when that happens, the person who's acting like a Russia, he gets the cream of the crop of that. So if you get the cream of the crop is, success and wealth and everything else. And that's why the Rishoyim get an abundance of Gashmis. But it all comes to an end. It comes crashing down. The influence is interrupted, and he becomes a pauper, fraught with pain, and distant from people. You don't see him in shul, you don't see him in the street. He becomes a hermit. He isolates himself, not because of COVID, but because he feels embarrassed that he lost his money. Here he is, the big knocker, the big talker, the big shot, and all of a sudden, as we say in good old Yiddish, he's no longer a Yad Shem Adam. Did you ever hear that word, a Yad Shem Adam?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not Yiddish, maybe it's Polish, Russian, who knows? A Yad Shem Adam means a big shot. He ain't a big shot anymore. And he's embarrassed to come out. Or if he comes out, he closes his eye, turns his head, walks across the street because he is embarrassed. Because most people are wealthy. Hembale midos lo tovos. Only the Rashab. He tells you out the way it is. Most wealthy people don't have nice midos. So here we are having all these conversations throughout our sessions and learning and years, right? And every once in a while we talk about this idea. And the Rashab says it straight and clear. Roiv, he doesn't say all. Roiv Ashirim, most wealthy people, Himbale Midos Lo Tovos. Oi, Gamros. There is no good, right? And then there is evil, bad. So he says, pick your choice. You understand? Pick your choice. Like Toivos or Ra'os. By loving themselves, self-pity, self-love, v'gasas haruach, and ego. And as long as their wealth, they had their wealth in the Rabbim, everyone loves them. Everyone wants to hang out with the big guys. Right? You know what that means. I want to hang out. I want to go to the shul. You know why I go to shul? Because they're big knockers, big machers. That attitude. Says the Rashab, but don't think these wealthy people are stupid. They know that it's not that they're getting respect not because of who they are, but because of their money. That's what he says here. Nevertheless, they know that and they still make the blunder. Until they have this chutzpah and arrogance. You know yourself that why are you being honored? And why are people hovering around you and all that? Because you're a wealthy guy and they like rubbing shoulders? No. Straighten up. Be honest and tell everyone, stop it already. Stop it. You really honor me? You honor me for my money? I don't need your friendship. I don't want you to hang around with me. No. He allows himself to fall into the trap because it feels good. The ego is flying high. But when they lose their money, they become paupers, then they realize in their very essence, the same, all the faults and blemishes and issues and deficiencies, and they say, I'm such a low life. I have to look at my character. It's a big mess. Only then do they smell the coffee. Next paragraph, says the Rashab, and this is all because everything comes in an organized way. So when they, in an accountable way, so when they have the money and everything's going fine, they forget about their issue and they look at themselves as the top of the game. But when they lose their money, the cheshbon now is zero in their bank account. And zero in many other things, they say, I better change, I better go for therapy, etc. Says the Rashab, unless this individual is amongst those, which it says, he repays the wicked to his face to destroy him. That means, he's someone that has no other merit, God forbid. But if he has some merit, and that merit makes him considered a yid, he's a Jew at the end of the day. Yes, he has rough edges, but he's a yid. So it's impossible for him to receive anything other than an organized amount, an accountable amount. As we said, everything's with cheshbon. Because it's coming from the pnimius. So what's this last nakuda? What's this last paragraph saying? He's saying that as long as a Jew has some schutz, and as long as a Jew is a Jew, you get things in a cheshbon way, and then you could wake up from your dream and do tshuva and rebuild yourself. If chas v'sholem you're from those that doesn't, then he says you're out for destruction. It's really bad. It's really bad. And even that, Chabad Chassidus, has its way of understanding it, but I don't want to go into that right now. So what we learned today is very powerful in the sense that the Rashab, not only did he speak about the issue of Yidden and Goyim in philosophical terms, Pnimius and Chitzonis, Makif and all that, but he really brings it home in a way that's black and white. And again, like I told you, he has to say it the way it is so that we don't make these errors, or we make less of these errors. And you see, Moshe, what the Rashab says, Mukhrach, it must be that the hashpah that the Rishoyim get will be interrupted at some point. It's not a question if, it's a question when. And again, we're not looking for that. We want every person to have and to grow but you got to be a mensch. And also I think the language that Rashab says here, that most Ashirim are Bali Midas Loy Toivis or Gamrois, that's a Musar Vark. You would find this a Musar, But the fact is, that's the situation. So, when you find a wealthy person who's humble, hug him and kiss him and be around him. Because it's very rare. Very rare.
Just ask him for money.
I'm telling you, I've been involved in fundraising for 35 years. It is so rare to find someone who is humble and his giving is on that level. It's a specialty. It's so unique. It's something to cherish, really, really to cherish. You find, once in a blue moon. Anyway, Chevra, we'll continue tomorrow. Any thoughts, questions, anything you want to say, guys? Okay. If everything is clear, we'll continue tomorrow. Have a good day. Zay Matzliach, and all the best. Take care. Bye-bye.